Okay, I think I'm live. Welcome to the How to Lose Fat Over 40 live stream Q&A. Now, I just need to make sure that I'm going, which takes about 5 or 6 seconds for the delay. And the check has just been proven, so I can hear myself on the other computer. So if you come on board, just say hi and where you're from, and if you've got any questions, feel free to ask, and we'll deal with them live on the call. But in the meantime, I've jotted down a little bit of an agenda today to work through, failing any questions. So in the last couple of, sorry to look down, but I'm looking at my little notepad here. We've talked about the key to weight loss that a lot of people don't know, and the key is insulin. Because that is your fat storage hormone. So today we're going to talk a little bit about what triggers it and how to control it, keep the levels down so that you can actually burn fat, and we'll go from there. So the problem these days in the Western world is that the diet forced upon us or pushed upon us, the standard American or standard Australian or standard Western diet, is full of carbohydrates, and that's almost, well, you can talk about conspiracy theories, that's by design, okay? And breakfast isn't the most important meal of the day. That's been pushed by Kellogg's and all the other sugar producing. You don't get me started, okay? So basically, anytime you have any carbohydrates, it spikes your insulin severely. Well, not severely, but much more than what protein or fat would actually do. So once that's happened, because you've then got elevated insulin in your system, your body turns into burning glucose or sugar mode to try and get that out of your blood system first before it can use anything else, i.e. fat. Okay, stored fat. Stored fat is like putting food in the pantry. Okay, that's your body's survival system, survival mode. So once you've got insulin at those kind of levels, you can't do it. And I use the example of a standard day when, back in the day when I used to be an engineer, I would be up at, the alarm would go off at, 5:30. You'd press sleep for 10 minutes. You'd be up at 5:40. Slash through the shower, clothes on, toast in the thing while you're putting your boots on. You grab toast with margarine on it and some Vegemite, which that's an Australian thing, and a coffee in a travel mug with I don't think I might have had sugar back then. I can't remember, but it was definitely had milk in it. So and I'd leave at 5:56, and if I didn't, I'd catch the first traffic light, and I'd be 5 minutes late at work, which was over an hour, or basically an hour away, to open the gate for everyone else arriving at site at 7 a.m. So at 6 o'clock in the morning, I was spiking my insulin, and then during the day, because you were up so early and had to do all that, I would be having a coffee every now and again with, of course, milk, which would continually spike my insulin during the day. And at lunch, you might grab a hamburger or something like that from the deli at the work site, and of course that's got bread and other things in it, which spikes the insulin. And no wonder through the years I gently and gradually put more weight on as time goes by. So back then that would have been in my 30s through those years, and I gradually went from fairly fit to slowly getting heavier and heavier. It wasn't a fast process back then. That didn't happen until I sort of stopped playing sport because of my knee injuries. The care factor on eating donuts and so forth went out the window, and sort of stacked it on and got up to 106 kilos. I'm well below that now. But carbohydrates, including breads, pastas, rice. I'm gone mind blank here. All the carbohydrates, breads, pastas, rice, pasta. Yeah, sorry, I'm just having a mind meld here. So once you have anything like that, your insulin spikes, and therefore you cannot use fat for fuel. So the way to overcome that is by not consuming as much of it or any of it. Basically, you can design your diet to be extremely healthy and not spike your insulin. In fact, there's three kind of diets. One is the low carb diet, where you limit the amount of carbs you have to, as small as you can. All right, which is the first step really, because if you've been on a Western diet all your life, to immediately change your diet to, carnivore might be a bit of a shock to your system. So you start out, you learn the ropes. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of questions. Then you sort of roll into keto, where you limit the amount of carbs to less than 80, I think it is. But, I try and say, keep them less than 80 grams of carbs on a keto diet. But the best way to possibly do it is the carnivore diet, where you're eating meat, eggs and butter. All right. And that's the simplest diet to be on, because you don't have to wonder if you can have this plant or this thing, because, whether it's got carbs in it or not. It's the best, and that's basically what I'm on. I do sometimes have some malunggay or avocado or things like that from time to time, but they are healthy, keto friendly stuff. So carnivore is what I do, and it's simple and easy. Now, the beautiful part of not having carbs in your system, not only does it not spike insulin, it makes your hangry pains go away. Now, I said hangry on purpose, because when you get hungry, I get grumpy sometimes. So because protein and fat burn longer and slower, and the insulin response is a lot smaller, obviously the insulin will come up when you eat, it still does, but then it rolls over fairly quickly and gradually rolls out again. So because there's minimal glucose in your system, your body will use that up fairly quickly and then go back to using fat. Now, fat can come from either food or the food in the pantry, your fat stores on your body. So calories in, calories out kind of still count. You wouldn't want to do the carnivore diet and just eat ribeye steaks piled up 3 thick. You'd want to try and eat to satiety, but not over the top. If you're a huge eater already, it might pay to bring that back a little. But what I did, because I used to be a big eater, right? Nowadays, I'll just have a little bowl of something and I'm done, because of the protein and the fat content in the food. It sort of makes you not hungry anymore. And I was just, back in the day, just eating a massive schnitzel on a plate just because it was there, all right, as you do. So you got to bear with me today, guys. I'm a bit. It's fairly early. I had to jump up and really jump on. So these days, I'll have a big glass of water before I start, and basically have a sip of water as I'm eating, and then just eat slowly, so it gives you time for your body to say, all right, I've had enough. Okay, and then I basically stop eating. So if there's a mouthful or two left, I might have it, but if there's half a bowl, I'll put the cover on it, throw it in the fridge, and have it later for a snack if I need to. So back in the day, that wouldn't have happened. I would have eaten that and gone back for seconds, So the diet is key. And I would suggest working through that. If you can go straight to carnivore with, and cut out your donuts and your French fries, because, just give you an example, French fries are potatoes and they're genetically modified potatoes. Use your words, Andrew. And they're cooked in vegetable oils, which are, I've talked about vegetable oils and so forth on my blog and these calls in the past, that they're not good for you. They sit in your system, they inflame your joints, and they're very hard to get out of your system. If you want to have good oils, olive oil, coconut oil are very good, and avocado oil is the only other one we'd have. So, anything that's got vegetables, soy, canola, any of those oils are very bad for you, either digesting them and or cooking in them. So, don't throw canola oil on your barbecue and then throw your steak on top of it. You're better off doing olive oil, a bit of butter, or fat, like ghee or something like that. So, another one is a lot of people don't get enough protein intake during the day to support your body to reproduce proteins and muscle and so forth in your body. So generally, you're looking at needing 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram of ideal body weight. And initially I started doing that, and I'm thinking, and we were weighing it. We thought, all right, we'll weigh the meat and see how we go. And I was weighing the meat and going, this can't be right, because it didn't look like anywhere near enough. And then we quickly worked out, I'm saying my partner and myself, we worked out that the weight of meat isn't all protein. It's somewhere between 25 and 50% of like a steak is actually protein, and that made a bit more sense. So for me, like 1.2, my ideal body weight should be about 80. I'm not there yet, but I'm working my way. So 80 times 1.2 is equal to basically 96, 100 grams. But then if we go to 1.6, it's 130. So somewhere between 100 and 130 grams of protein is what I would need in the diet just to maintain, kind of thing. So I kind of aim for around 120. So if you work that out, that's 480 grams of meat a day. So if that was 25% protein, 4 times 120 is 480. So 500 grams of meat, and or a little bit less, and throw some eggs in there and maybe a little bit of butter for taste. Now, because I'm in the weight loss process, I'm not pushing the fats too hard. I'd rather use my stored fat than fat in the food. So I'm making sure I'm getting enough protein. That does help with hunger. Okay, because I'm eating protein and fat and it's a long, slow burn, you feel full. You don't feel hungry. I'll quite easily go to 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon every day before I have my first feed. Now, otherwise, I'm trying to push my feeding window a little bit earlier in the day. So quite often I'll eat at, say, 12, even though I might not be extremely hungry. I'll be peckish, but I'll only have a small meal. And I'll try and have my main meal, or the last meal for the day, around 4, somewhere 4 to 5, and that varies from day to day, which is fine. So at 4, I'm trying to have a big enough meal that I'm not overeating, but I'm also eating to satiety. So I'll make sure I have some water and that with it, so that after that, you basically drink water or I don't have coffee really that much anymore at all, to be honest. And if I do, it's either a black coffee or a black coffee with a bit of butter on the top, just whisked in to give it some flavour. But I won't do coffee at night because I've worked out that that's probably why I had insomnia, even though it was a decaf one. So, and basically drink water. And if you really want something with a bit of taste, I drink water with a little splash of apple cider vinegar in it, the Bragg one, just to give it some taste, and that won't spike your insulin. So, and then you go all the way through till the next day at lunchtime. So you get your fasting period in, and we've talked about that in the past. Obviously, during a fast, the first 3, 4, 5 hours, you're digesting your last meal. Once that's the case, it's got to wait for insulin to come down, start producing ketones, and start burning fat until you eat again. Now, the key for the carnivore diet is because you're not having its elevated levels of insulin because of carbs, the insulin response is fairly low, so you haven't got a lot of insulin to use or glucose in your blood to use, so you don't produce anywhere near as much insulin. That sort of works its way out of the system, and because you're staying on the carnivore diet, you'll have ketones in your system. Now, ketones burn fat. All right, insulin helps your body utilize glucose or sugar. So if you're in a state of ketosis, you will quickly go back to fat burning within, say, after the first 4 or 5 hours, 5 to 8 hours, you're sort of in that transition. And from 8 hours onwards, if you're in a ketogenic state, you're starting to use your fat stores for energy rather than what you eat, which is what you want. You want to use your fat stores. So, and of course, it'll grind away. And it's a lifestyle you need to get into that, because you're not going to undo 30 years of bad eating overnight. You're not going to lose, 25 kilos in a week. Although if you mix in, I'm not going to say although, if you mix in exercise, even just walking for 30 minutes, 40 minutes a day, or, go up the stairs instead of catching the lift, things like that. And if you do some strength training while you're fasted, obviously that's going to accelerate your weight loss. So we've kind of gone through a lot of it again, but the key for this is that the hardest thing I've found is that when you try and do this by yourself, because it's too easy to cheat and say, I'll just do it tomorrow. I'll start again tomorrow. And tomorrow turns into Friday, turns into Monday, turns into next week, turns into next month, and you're 5 kilos heavier down the track. Accountability is the key. All right. Doing it with someone or a community that is there to have your back, to encourage you in times of weakness, to answer any questions of, can I have this? Will this spike my insulin? Right? And that's where community comes aboard. So, I'm just checking something here. Just check something here. I'll just type that. So once you've decided you want to make a change and lose those extra kilos, sometimes it's better to have a community. Now, I've set up a free community for now. For the first 50 people will be like the beta group. If you want to come in, get personal access to me, we can sort of jump on Zooms. In fact, we've got a Zoom on in 40 minutes at 9 o'clock. If you want to jump on that, feel free. If you want to be part of that, just go down in the link below. There'll be a link to the 51-day challenge, which is our community. And we'll go through a lot of the things there, but we'll name specific diets that you can eat, amounts, give you all the specifics you'll need to actually go in and start utilizing this system and understanding what you need to do and what you can't do to lose those pesky kilos that seem to be hanging around. So go down below in the description of the video, enter your details, and jump in the community, reach out, because for the first 50 people, I actually do a one-on-one consult to personally listen to your situation and form a game plan to best suit your situation, where you are, what you're at, your weight you want to lose, what your diet is, all that kind of stuff. We'll run through that fairly quickly and give you a game plan, and then we'll have ongoing support. So look forward to you jumping on the inside, and we might keep it fairly short today because we've been through a lot of this already, and basically I want to be one-on-one with you, and we'll go through this journey together. So on that, be awesome. I'm going to have a short one today, and have a great day. Andrew out.